What do you what do you say to that? That was a good old-fashioned butt whipping, period. That was a good old-fashioned butt whipping. And honestly, I hope that some of you understand now why I'm only getting excited for trenches. I need offensive linemen that are over 300 pounds. I need defensive linemen that are over 300 pounds. I need some defensive tackles, and I need linebackers who can cover. I've been saying this, and everyone's like, oh, we'll be fine, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. We're not fine. You just saw what we have, and it's not great. So I need Colorado to take a deep breath. This game, honestly, usually I let bowl games be what they're going to be. And I don't make a big deal about bowl games. But the problem with this is when your coach is making a huge deal, everyone's going to play, all starters, everyone's going to play, and then they play, and then that's the performance they give. Now I have a problem. Now you're forcing me to look at this game differently because your guys are playing. And your guys didn't look ready to go. The Colorado football team did not look ready to play football today. And that's a problem. And it's a problem because this is supposed to be the last game, the final moment, and your team didn't show up ready to go today. So you can act like, nobody took it seriously. You can act like they didn't, whatever. But when you told me your guys were going to show up and play today, and this is how they showed up to play today, at one point it was 20-0 at halftime. It was 20-0 at halftime. That is embarrassing. That is actually embarrassing. I'm disappointed in the game planning. I'm disappointed that it didn't feel like there was a game plan. I'm disappointed by how they looked. And the main reason I'm disappointed is because this is the team that I was scared was going to show up. I thought this team learned its lesson after Kansas. I thought this team was going to get up and play, and I thought this team was going to be different. I was wrong. This team is who they are. And the problem is that I want this team to be something different than they actually are. They are who they are. It just is what it is. And you know what? Part of me wants to blame the Steelers for this behavior because the Steelers, they look like a joke, but I'm not going to. This is Colorado's fault. I'm going to get on the other side of this video and I'm going to tell you more reasons why this pisses me off, A, and B, why there's a bigger issue here. And I'm going to talk about that on the other side of my video. So BYU came to win this game. BYU showed up and they were like, we're here to win. They had trick plays. They did an onside kick. They did things that let me know that they were ready to beat Colorado. You could also tell by their game plan. Their quarterback knew that Colorado didn't do good with scrambling quarterbacks. I believe on third down, there was a couple of times where BYU ran the exact same play because they have watched Colorado, because they came prepared to win this football game. And the one thing BYU figured out is if you hit this Colorado football team in the mouth, they will not punch you back. They do not punch back like they're supposed to. So they came out aggressive and they came out ready to win this game, and they dominated from the jump. They dominated at the line of scrimmage. Colorado's defensive line was going the backwards, and Colorado's offensive line couldn't block to save their lives. And so you're going to tell me that you're okay heading into next season with that looking offensive line? You're going to be okay with that? And you're okay with that defensive line, and you're okay with the linebackers you saw today? That doesn't even make sense to me. If you're okay with that Colorado team that you just saw play tonight, I don't know what to tell you because it wasn't good. In my opinion, the first half of this football game is everything I thought Colorado was this year. You're going to be over penalized. You're not going to be able to respond well when a team has schemed against you. When somebody has a game plan, you're not going to know what to do. And they showed that. And that is what actually kind of pisses me off, is because the details of football is what we're missing here. And so when I look at this Colorado football team, I made a video after the Texas Tech game, and I said there are traits of a bad football team. And some of the traits of a bad football team, I brought my iPad so that I can list those things, because tonight Colorado showed me again all of those bad traits that I was talking about that are in bad football teams. I believe when I made the video against Texas Tech, I had 10 things that let me know that you're a bad football team. Tonight, I pulled out some of those things that Colorado did that showed me that they were a bad football team. I'm going to repeat those things. Giving up a lot of special teams yards. There's a special teams touchdowns. You look like you're trying to lose. Some people watched that game and didn't even know if Colorado was serious or prepared or even took that game seriously. That is an issue. Bad clock management. I'll get to the bad clock management here in a second because that was atrocious. The other thing is you don't do anything with turnovers. Colorado had 3 turnovers in this game. Colorado at halftime had 2 turnovers. Colorado at halftime had 0 points. Absolutely 0 points, because Shedeur Sanders got the ball on a snap and decided to run backwards for about 20 yards and take a sack that he's been doing all year. This team is who they are. Another thing, another trait of a bad football team, lots of penalties. Another trait of a bad football team, third down conversion rates. I think Colorado today was 3 for 9 on third down. These are traits of a bad football team. We've seen this all year. We have to realize what we're dealing with. Now, did Colorado have a successful year? Well, absolutely. They overachieved and they did some great things. And that is what you take into next year. What you take into next year is your progress. What you take into next year is getting better on third down. What you take into next year is better clock management. What you take into next year is the team looking like they're ready to go. What you take into the season next year is when we get punched in the face, how are we going to respond? All of the penalties, more disciplined, all of those things are the things that Colorado needs to get better at. So that's why I've been saying all year, are they a good football team? Well, they're about an average football team because they don't do anything exceptionally well, but they have talent. When you have talent, sometimes you win games. You can't win big games because there's a lot of things you need to work on, but they are who they are. What I saw from Colorado in the first half of this football game is everything I thought Colorado was this whole season. They just weren't playing talented football teams. The other thing I want to talk about here, because this is actually atrocious, the worst clock management I have seen in a football game since I watched the Chicago Bears blow it on Thanksgiving Day. Colorado got a stop with 1:47 left to go in the second quarter. It was third down, BYU's ball. Coach Prime did not call a timeout. He did not call a timeout. Coach Prime went into halftime with 3 timeouts. Not one time did Coach Prime call a timeout when BYU was driving. When they got to third down, you would think the announcers are saying that Colorado will call a timeout. They did not call a timeout. Coach Prime did not try to conserve the clock. Here is my issue with this. As a coach, if you're not present in the moment and you're not doing the things you're supposed to do as a coach, your entire team is going to be impacted by that. And today, again, bad clock management. Why are you going into halftime with 3 timeouts? Call a timeout. Hope that your team gets a stop and hope that you get the ball back, because that shows me that you think that you can win this game. That shows me that you think that you can compete. So when you don't call a timeout, when you're not watching the clock, and you're just letting time go off the clock and you have timeouts, what are we doing here? If you don't think your team can win this game, set them on the bench. I don't understand some of these coaching decisions. We have to get better at clock management in the offseason, because if we don't get better at clock management, we're never going to be able to win a tight game because we don't manage the time, we don't manage the clock well, we don't use the timeouts well. Our in-game decisions are not good and they have to be fixed. The last thing I'm going to say here about this game, and then I'm going to talk about the positive side on the other side of this. I want to talk about Colorado's stats. Colorado had 2 rushing yards. Colorado had not 1, but 2 rushing yards. Colorado had 2 rushing yards. They gave up 180 rushing yards on offense. Colorado gave up 180 rushing yards. 3 for 9 on third down, 8 penalties for 65 yards, 2 turnovers in the first half. In the second half, they had 1, so they had a total. They had 2 turnovers that they gave up, and then they got 3 turnovers. So they won the turnover margin. They had 9 first downs to BYU's 22 first downs. They had 9 first down to BYU's 22 first downs. Their time of possession, CU, was 24 minutes. BYU's time of possession was 35 minutes. CU stopped BYU 1 time on third down in the second half. The last thing is CU gave up 4 sacks. And in Shedeur's last football game, his offensive line still didn't protect him. This team is who you think they are. You just have to start believing yourself. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to move on. If Colorado does not get bigger, stronger, faster in the transfer portal, in the trenches, we are in for a long season next year. We are in for a long season. They have to go get players out of that transfer portal in the trenches, offense and defense, and you have to get linebackers. Any Anybody that is telling you that the linebackers that Colorado has right now are good enough, they are lying to you. Those linebackers that Colorado has right now are not good enough. They are not good enough. I don't know how to say it otherwise. They are not good enough. We need different linebackers. I think we already got one. We need at least two more. That would be fantastic. Don't let anybody lie to you. Your eyes are telling you the truth. Believe your eyes. I will get off the soapbox, but don't let these people lie to you all off season. Stay focused. We need trenches. We need 300 pounds. We need guys that can move. We need guys that are faster. We need linebackers that can cover. The good news is the season is over and Colorado has time to get better for next year. Colorado can go hit that transfer portal. I will be honest and tell you, I'm a little concerned about who is going to enter the transfer portal. Each player from Colorado will have 5 days to enter their transfer portal after their games, like all the other players will have an additional 5 days after you finish. So I hope that there's some players in that transfer portal that Colorado can go get, because right now with this lack of recruiting freshmen, this lack of transfer portal additions so far, they're going to need help. The one thing that I also want to say to end this video is this. The season as a whole was a success for Colorado. The season as a whole, they did great things. They ended this season 9-4. That is better than I predicted them to end the season. So I am going to applaud them for the things they did well. They did some great things this season. Just because this game was blah, just because they can't stop the run, and just because all of these things are happening, it does not mean that they had a bad season. However, what needs to start happening now are the details. The devil is in the details. We've got to focus on the details. We've got to focus on consistently stopping the run. We have to focus on having consistent athletes that can actually go in there and get the job done. And we have to be honest with ourselves as a fan base and hold them to a standard. As a fan base, if we do not hold this Colorado team to a standard, we now have expectations. They either need to meet or exceed our expectations. That is where we need to be. You all know on this channel, I will be here holding them to the standards, and I will be here keeping my expectations exactly where they are this year and expecting them to be a little bit better, because that is what I do. You should join me in them having these expectations, but if you don't join me, just remember, if we don't push for better, we're never going to be better. And some of you are going to say, Coach Prime knows he needs to be better. Coach Prime knows he needs to be better. Great. We as fans also have to get better. It's not just about Colorado's football team getting better or the coaching staff doing better. It is also about the fans doing better and knowing better and expecting more. So that's what I'm going to do. That is what I'm going to do all off season. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to continue to do it. That's just who I am. So I'm going to end this video here. If you made it to the end of this video, don't forget to drop me an emoji in my comment section below. The season is over. Overall, it was a success for Colorado. We also know the things we need to improve on and the things that we need to work on. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the story isn't over and we still get to write the ending that we want. Yes, this didn't end the way that we want, but we are turning the page. We are not putting down the book. And I think that distinction really matters. So I will see you in my next video.